Bitcoin approaches $40,000 as Cardano eyes up the $2 range. Are the crypto bulls back in town? What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in. I appreciate your support as we grow this YouTube channel. Let's jump into the Bitcoin Cardano video. This is Bitcoin on the weekly. I have to underline, highlight this video with what's occurring on the weekly. We're getting this reversal on the weekly. We're zoomed out, but there it is. Just the last couple of weeks, this bullish reversal of sorts. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you know about the long-term Fibonacci resistance, also known as the bull market doors. The bull market high, 2017, to bear market low, 2018. You know the bull market doors, what they're charted. We broke in November, this green resistance area. That was Bitcoin, you know, in its cycle, changing from bear to bull, right? And this is what it's looked like, parabolic gains since. The thing that is really bullish on these long-term charts is the fact that we've broken that 1618, and that 1618 is around $30,000, and we've retraced to the 1618, and this is where we're getting our bounce. Now, the reason why that looks so bullish is because, you know, we're almost 400 days post 2020 halving, and this white line is 2020 halving. Now, in the middle of the last bull market, around 400 days post 2016 halving, Bitcoin was doing a very similar dip in the summer of 2017, and the reflection on the charts is very telling. And that is to say, our Fibonacci, our cycle Fibonacci, bull market high of 2013 to the bear market low 2015, you know, we have our bull market doors that Bitcoin broke into, but we have the 1618 line, Bitcoin revisited, similar to what's actually happening right now at the same time post 2016 halving versus post 2020 halving, which is around 400 days post halving, almost 400 days. Look at that revisit back to the 1618 line in 2017, the summer of 2017, around $1,800. We're getting a revisit to the 1618 line around $30,000. Not only is it bullish looking, but it's actually, if for whatever reason there's continued downside for Bitcoin and Bitcoin fails in this reversal, this area, the 1618, is an incredibly important area of interest for Bitcoin, because confluent with that area, you can see on the zoomed out chart, that weekly 50-week moving average, very close to the 1618 line, around $30,000. There's a lot of needed support for Bitcoin on the macro, something to keep an eye on. But right now, the bullish reversal, the bullish bounce on the macro chart could not look any more harmonious with what happened in the last bull market for a bull market continuation. Digging into the charts on the daily chart, I want to see what Bitcoin does today. I mean, we're looking at the 20-day moving average. Bitcoin has wicked into it on the daily chart. You can see the 20-day moving average right around $38,800. We're a few $100 below it right now. At the same time, breaking the upper trend line of a symmetrical triangle that we talked about. At the same time, testing this Fibonacci resistance right this very moment. Very curious to see how this daily candle closes in the next 8 hours, 40 minutes is what I'll be tracking today on the Bitcoin charts. Going to the 6 hour, this is what it looks like. That Fibonacci resistance is a very important area. It's that swing high to swing low, and we talked about it in last night's video, and it's right here. We've just been testing the 786 line of the resistance around 39,500 or $39,300 to the 618 around 38,100. Now, if we look at this on the 6 hour chart, you can see, and let me move this over. This is the resistance. You can see Bitcoin wicking at the 786, failing at resistance thus far. Now notice Bitcoin did something very similar at this Fibonacci lower high. So here was a swing high to low, back to a Fibonacci resistance. You can see Bitcoin was wicking above. Many people getting very bullish, but there was not that just ultimate bullish continuation, bullish confirmation. And this is what we're looking at on the 6 hour. Can Bitcoin break above the Fibonacci resistance? It's that green channel that you see on the screen. If not, we have a support area, and we don't want to see Bitcoin make this move. We want to see Bitcoin explode through the $39,000 area truly and get separation from this 786 line around that area. If Bitcoin fails at this green channel of resistance and comes back down in the short term, we have a swing low, very short-term swing low to this current swing high. We can start, visiting the potential for Bitcoin to trickle back down into the apex of the symmetrical triangle that you see on the screen, and test the support area, high or low, before we're actually getting that breakout to the upside. Be prepared for something like that. That could be a move to the 786 to support, the $36,000 range to the $37,000 at the 786. So short-term support, 37 to 36,000 in the apex area of the triangle, potentially before we get the breakout. Notice 74% to the apex of that triangle, if we zoom out, is approaching. And we are riding that upper trend line of the triangle. We're testing the resistance. There's a lot going on this Bitcoin chart. Going to be very interesting to see how this daily candle closes over here on this chart. But we might need a little bit of patience. But right now, Bitcoin looking very strong coming out of this swing low on May 19th, just a couple weeks ago. And we have this upward momentum of higher highs and higher lows on this RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator. A lot of room for Bitcoin upside. Let's pivot over to Cardano. Cardano on the weekly. Cardano on the weekly tested its macro 1618 line. Here, the bull market doors down here. We saw Bitcoin, broke through that area and right now is testing that area. Cardano, we are waiting for the breakthrough. And this could be the illustration, the picture of Cardano just so strong in the continuation of this bull market. It could be the reflection of altcoin dominance against Bitcoin as Cardano, potentially continuation of this bull market, breaks that 1618 line and kind of hits those crazy new all-time highs everybody's waiting for. The reason why I talk about dominance is because on the Bitcoin chart, if there is continuation of this bull market, even if Bitcoin's breaking all-time highs again, if we go look at the ADA BTC chart, there's a strong potential that ADA will continue to the upside and start putting in new higher highs and higher lows against Bitcoin. It's been the story since the beginning of this bull market, all the way back here in November. Cardano dominance growing against Bitcoin. Remember, smart contracts on the way. So that's what we're looking at. That was ADA BTC and ADA on the weekly. Zooming in now, this is what we have going on for ADA. This is the daily chart we talked about yesterday. We have this ascending triangle. Cardano, you can see breaking the upper trend line of that, but seeing just a wick on the daily chart. Let me zoom in a little bit. And really, the average of that upper trend line is right around like $1.80 to $1.85. It's a lot of resistance for Cardano for weeks now, all the way back to May 20th. And you can just see Cardano seeing resistance. We're approaching the apex. It's a really, really interesting time for Cardano because there's so much other stuff in play. And this is what I want to break down real quick as we go into this day. This is Cardano on the 6 hour. I know there's a lot of lines, but track with me, everybody. Let's break this down. We have the inverse head and shoulders that we've been tracking. Notice the neckline is confluent with the symmetrical triangle upper trend line. We've gotten that break the other day of those two areas, upper trend line and neckline, right here. I mean, it was right around $1.73. At the same time, confluent with that resistance area, Cardano was breaking a very important resistance area, a Fibonacci resistance. Really, one that Bitcoin on its own chart is still testing. And that was a swing high to swing low, and Cardano broke this Fibonacci resistance. Remember, we talked about that short-term bullish reversal confirmation. We got it the other day, and this is what we're seeing. The bulls really starting to step in. I started the video with that kind of cheesy comment, are the bulls back in town, the crypto bulls back in town? But this is what it looks like. It starts with this. This is how reversals look on the short-term chart. So right now you can see Cardano interacting with the upper trend line of the ascending triangle that we just talked about. We got the break above the symmetrical triangle. And the key here is we have, all these targets to the upside in the $3 to $3.50 range, but there can be a lot of volatility along the way. Remember, we have this midterm resistance now that Cardano is testing, and that is a Fibonacci resistance. It's a swing high, all-time high to the capitulation low back to this midterm resistance. This is the true sign that Cardano is probably well on its way to $3 to $3.50 targets. Now, Cardano testing a lot of resistance, though. That midterm resistance, this upper trend line resistance, but Cardano doing a good job at the very least of putting in those higher highs and higher lows. And here it is on the hourly chart. This is what we talked about. And we're really digging in here, everybody. This is what we talked about yesterday, this ascending triangle. And you can just see Cardano. This is the picture of an ascending triangle. Higher highs, higher lows, and you see it on the hourly, and kind of this area of resistance to the upside. Cardano has clearly broken that area, but we always want to be ready for pullbacks to apexes and pullbacks. So, if we see in the next day or so today, Cardano interacting with the $1.70s, it would make sense before potential continuation. It's the story of reversal to see these things. Now, to the downside, we can take on the hourly chart this area all the way back here before Cardano really started putting in this move, swing low to swing high. And if we see an environment where Bitcoin is revisiting its own support area to the downside, we could see Cardano potentially make its way down to $1.66 to $1.60 area. That could be kind of this short-term reset before continuation. But we want to see these short-term supports hold for the bullish continuation all across the board. The long story is, I know we're tracking all of this short-term stuff. I know we have to wait for trend lines to break. This is the point of technical analysis. But the whole key here is that we can all sit back and we've tracked unemotionally, the story of reversal on these charts. And we're really starting to see the story of the bulls versus the bears and who's winning, right, in the short term. And so far, it's been the bulls, and we're going to continue tracking this as we test huge areas of resistance like this one on the Cardano chart. That area of resistance, by the way, around $1.90 to $2.15. So let's see what Bitcoin and Cardano do on the short term. Wanted to kind of give an update at the beginning of the day. And then if we get some moves during the day, something worthwhile, I'll do a little update video a little bit later tonight. So hit the subscribe and like, everybody. I appreciate you. Have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.